Hi there. Today we're visiting a couple of bodegas in Luján de Cuyo in Mendoza province in Argentina. If it's your first time here, please remember to subscribe.
The range is divided in 3 parts. The principal range.
We'll be visiting 2 different bodegas today. The first one will be Bodega Keiken and the second one will be Bodega Vistalba. So first up, Bodega Keiken. So we're travelling today with Trout and Wine Tours out of Mendoza. They're absolutely excellent. We're not compensated in any way for this review. Highly recommend them. The Keiken is a migratory bird that flies between Chile and Argentina. And apparently the owners of this vineyard do the same, spending their time between Chile and Argentina. So it's January, and it's a glorious summer day here in the Southern Hemisphere, and they have a little setup here in the vineyard where we'll be tasting our wines. It's absolutely gorgeous. The temperature is about 32 degrees Celsius, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Just a perfect day to be sitting out on a patio, having a glass of wine or two. We start with a glass of rosé champagne before we start the tour of the bodega proper. Certainly a nice way to start. So glasses in hand, we head out and have a look at the vines. It's about a month before harvest time, I believe. The grapes certainly look ripe. I was surprised that they look pretty small compared to table grapes, but they certainly look delicious. I think these old growth Malbec would give you that really dark, robust Malbec that we all love. There's a number of different systems they use for the cultivation of the vines. Water is pretty tight, so they use a lot of drip feed irrigation to conserve water. We all think of Malbec when we think of Mendoza, but there's a lot of Chardonnay as well. So after our tour of the vineyards, it's off to the bodega. Seems like everyone's getting ready for the harvest. Everything's being cleaned up. I'm sure it's a frenetic time in a month or two's time. So we're now deep in the cellars, or the cave, and it takes on an almost religious aspect here.
Winemakers think that we also have an effect on the wines. A representation of the Keiken and only appears on the wine label. That is on only Cabernet Franc Reserve and 7. We store them here because we actually sell vertical tasting. That is when you have the same wine from horses look, because it's not given to us. But we can say it. A brut or an extra brut, and the second one is a brut rosé. Both of them are made.
Okay, enough theory. Let's get down to actually tasting the wines. The table's all set up for us. We have a little bit of blue cheese and some fig jam on crackers, just to refresh our taste buds between the different wines. The wines aren't all from this particular bodega, but they are all Keiken brand wines. They weren't the only wines we tried. But we had some Malbec as well. But now we're off to our next bodega, the Bodega Vistalba. This setup seems to be very similar to the Keiken Bodega. They do clear the rows between the vines, which I don't think that they did at Keiken. But overall, the setup is very similar. It does seem to be a larger operation though. We didn't get a glass of champagne when we arrived, but they probably just took one look at us and said, "You guys don't need that." A quick word about the company we travelled with, Trout and Wine. Highly recommended. Links below.
First, I have to normalize.
The cellar tour is very similar to Keiken as well. This painting is very famous because it's on all the bottles from Vistalba. So Vistalba is a much larger operation. You can see from the range of the wines available.
50% of Carlos Malbec and 50% of Eduardo.
So enough of looking at 4 bottles of wine. Let's get on to round 2 of the tastings. At Keiken we sat out in the garden, which was nice, and here we're in the cellar. So we're going to try, I think, 4 different wines here at Vistalba. There's no food on this tour, but we did eat before we came, luckily. We're starting off with a champagne, and then a Semillon, as we call it, a Semillon, as they call it here, or a Semillon, as they'd call it, as a Porteño would call it.
Yes, always. They are the most common varieties, but the most common blend for sparkling.
Once you watch the color, you see that you watch the albums, you smell, yes? It has more Malbec and less Cabernet Sauvignon. Yes, and 18 months.
So that's it for our Bodega tour, and leaving you with the star of the show, our absolute favourite wine. Please remember to subscribe to my channel and hit like if you appreciate my content. It really helps me out. Thanks.